I'm Greg Babinski. I'm the Finance and Marketing Manager for the King County GIS Center in Seattle, Washington. It's a funny job title. I'm a GIS technologist, but I do finance and marketing, right brain, left brain sort of thing. And I still do a little bit of GIS consulting also. King County GIS, at the time that the study was conceived, was in 18 years of operation. And I'd been involved in maybe 15 of those 18 years. And I have always been interested or fascinated by the performance of GIS and variations in GIS. And I knew that King County had done a cost-benefit analysis. So back in 1992, we had projected what our return on investment was going to be. Interestingly, our county council, instead of investing $22 million in the project, only gave us about $7 million. After we finished a project for $7 million, they wrote a report saying we saved $15 million. So did they really? You know, they built a GIS for $15 million less than a consultant said that we needed. So that got me thinking about what is a real savings related to any technology project, and GIS in particular. You know, investigating cost-benefit analysis studies, and discovered one that had been performed for Baltimore County, Maryland, but it was performed by GIS consultants. Actually, it was sort of internal, you know, so it was an internal GIS group saying, we think that this is the return on investment that we actually got. But because it was done internally, I think it was flawed and not as credible as it could have been. I have a colleague from the state of Oregon, Cy Smith. He's the Geographic Information Officer for the state. And in about 2009, he was trying to get some additional funding for the state of Oregon GIS program, did a cost-benefit analysis estimate, and was shot down. And, you know, he and I were talking, and we decided that we really needed some way of really documenting what the benefit is, the financial benefit from GIS. We know that there's a lot of benefits from effectiveness and in services that are provided that couldn't be provided before, and so on. And in 2009, we discovered a report that was done for the New Zealand government by an independent financial firm of analysts, and determined that geospatial technology had increased the New Zealand economy, the New Zealand gross domestic product, by 0.6%, $1.2 billion in the New Zealand economy. And that's a lot of money for 1 year. So Cy and I started thinking, well, could we do a similar project in the United States? Now, we obviously can't do the entire country, couldn't do the entire state of Oregon, couldn't even really do the entire King County, which we contemplated at one point. We thought, well, maybe we can do a study of just King County, the government. The state put up some money, we matched the money, so we're getting money from the state of Oregon. King County, Washington is matching the money, and we were fortunate in finding a professor from the University of Washington, Dr. Richard O. Zerbe, who specializes in cost-benefit analysis documentation. I met with him, and Cy and I met with him several times, and we got him excited about this potential study. He didn't know anything about GIS, so I think he saw this as intellectually stimulating. He brought in a couple of his graduate students and developed or implemented a methodology that he's used on other studies for different governmental domains to look at cost-benefit analysis and true return on investment. The study did take longer than I thought it would take. At one point, we were thinking, it would be about a 3-month study. he and his team had to do some work, a lot of work understanding the breadth of benefits of geospatial technology. I think they were surprised at how pervasive it is in a city government or a county government. And he basically uses a with versus without methodology. So how would you go back and determine the return on investment over 18 years? So his without methodology is to either interview in great depth GIS managers or supervisors or business managers or supervisors in a broad variety of departments to get an idea of how broadly GIS is being used in those departments, and then follow up online surveys to drill down to many, many more people to ask questions like, what are you using GIS for right now? Describe what the outputs are. Are they maps? Is it an analysis? What's the purpose of the map or analysis? And how many of these do you do in a month, in a week, whatever the relevant time frame is? And then how long does it take you to do these functions now? And now imagine creating these same products or services without GIS. How long would that take you to do? And it's that difference in time between the with or without approach to doing your county business function or your municipal business function that is the essence of how the Zerbe methodology then analyzes what the benefit is. Now the cost side, unlike a lot of Zerbe studies, we had very, very detailed documentation because we have this strong focus on finance in GIS in King County. I had all of the capital project implementation records. I had very good documentation on the cost for our internal GIS project management office. Going back to 1997, I had very good costs for our central GIS. But then to really do a cost-benefit analysis or a return on investment analysis, we also needed to know what was the cost for GIS professionals in the departments. And the county has about 500 GIS either professionals or power users, plus many, many anonymous web users, people that are using web mapping applications, but we don't necessarily know who they are. So I came up with a methodology of estimating what the cost is for someone who's a power user using ArcView or ArcGIS, because we need to subtract that time from the benefit that they're describing or counterbalance the cost of the time against the benefit that they're deriving. The same thing, I came up with a methodology of determining the time that online mapping application users were spending, accessing the application based on length of user session, number of map hits, number of user sessions, and so on. And, so it was as simple as that. Zerbe took all of the benefit in terms of time, and he was asking some questions like, all right, when did you start using these applications? And we got some information. I started using the application in 2006 or 2002, and to the degree that he had that kind of temporal information, he was able to discount into the past the amount of benefit that we were deriving. Then he, with the Zerbe machine, he crunched the numbers, and it's just a huge Excel spreadsheet with some god-awful formulas embedded in it to come up with the cost estimate or the benefit estimate. So the cost, put things in perspective. We've spent about $215 million to develop and operate and use GIS from 1992 to 2010. During that period, Zerbe estimated a most conservative net benefit of $776 million. The potential benefit, maximum benefit, is multiples more than that. And for 2010, the most recent year that he studied, our operating cost and the cost to use GIS were approximately $14 million, and the range of benefits was between 180 and the most conservative range was $87 million. So $14 million in cost, $87 million in net benefits for 2010. And, those were, certainly good results. They were satisfactory results, but, we're still left with questions. And the other things, Zerbe did provide some other things. He was able to break down some of the benefits by departments. So we have a little bit of that. We know that, like our, no big surprise, our land-oriented departments like Department of Natural Resources, wastewater treatment, or Department of Transportation, had pretty big net benefits from using GIS.